Chosen one. The door you just closed was the last door that needed to close. For weeks, maybe for months, the Most High has been quietly arranging the conditions of this exact hour. The cancellations, the plans that fell through, the strange way certain people went silent, the unusual stillness in your home tonight. None of it was coincidence. It was preparation. Heaven does not deliver the most personal words in noisy rooms, and what is being delivered tonight is the most personal word you have heard in a very long time. There is a sealed letter that has been waiting on a desk in eternity, dated for this exact night, addressed to the version of you who would finally be alone enough to open it. The seal breaks now, not because the message changed, but because you have finally entered the only kind of room where heaven speaks plainly. The room with no audience, no performance, no borrowed voices competing for your attention. What rises to the surface in the next hour has been trying to reach you for longer than you remember. Stay still, stay alone, receive what was hidden until you close the door. I want you to notice something before another word is spoken. You stayed. You did not skip past this. You did not check who was calling. You did not minimize this window and tell yourself you would come back to it later. You stayed in the room. You kept the door closed. You let the silence hold. That decision, the one you made about a minute ago, was already the first word of the conversation that is about to happen here. Heaven was watching to see if you would stay. And you did. Beneath the noise of the day you just closed the door on, there is a current that has been moving toward you for a very long time. And that current has a name. It has a shape. It has a specific architecture. I am going to walk you into it slowly, because what arrives when you rush is never what was actually being given to you. Look at the room you are sitting in. Look at the light, the way it falls in this hour, the single lamp or the glow from the screen or whatever soft light you have not turned off yet. Notice how the shadows have settled into the corners. They were not there earlier today. The light of day fills a room differently than the light of an hour like this one. Daylight fills the corners. Nightlight leaves them alone and lets them rest. Listen, just for a few seconds, to what is around you. There is a clock somewhere, or the hum of a fridge, or distant traffic that has thinned out because the world is closing for the night. There is the sound of a building settling, the sound of pipes, the sound of someone, somewhere, walking past a window. And underneath all of those small sounds, there is a quieter sound that you almost never hear. The sound of your own breathing, the sound of your own staying, the sound of a chosen one who has finally stopped running for one evening. This is the kind of hour your life has been moving toward without telling you. You have been here before, but not like this. You have been alone in this room 1,000 times, but never with the door closed in this specific way. Never with the intention of actually hearing something. Never with the rest of the world held back on the other side of the wood. There is a difference between being alone and being in solitude. Being alone happens to you. Solitude is something you walk into. What you walked into tonight is solitude. I want you to picture, just for a moment, what it would have looked like if you had not closed the door. The phone would still be near you. There would be a half-open conversation somewhere. A part of your mind would still be watching for someone to need something from you. You would be in the same room, but not really. You would be split between this hour and the rest of the world. But you closed the door. You laid down whatever you were carrying. You took yourself out of the rotation for one evening. And what is here, in this hour, in this exact stillness, is not what most people will ever sit still long enough to receive. The architecture of what is about to be said requires the kind of room you just made. So, before another word, just let the room be what it is. Let it be holy, without you having to do anything to make it holy. Now, There is a question you have not asked out loud, but it has been pressing on you for weeks, maybe months. The question is some version of, why is everything around me getting quieter? Because that is what has been happening. And tonight is not the first time you have noticed. You have just been too busy, or too tired, or too unsure to stop and name it. I want to name it for you now. The first thing you have noticed is the cancellations. Not one, not two, a cluster of them. The friend who said they would call and did not. The dinner that was rescheduled twice and then quietly forgotten. The trip that fell through for a reason no one fully explained. The invitation that came and then got walked back. You did not say it out loud, but at some point you started to feel like the rhythm of your social life was being slowly turned down. You wondered if you had done something wrong. You wondered if the season of being included had ended without anyone telling you, and you carried that wondering by yourself because there was nobody you trusted enough to ask. The second thing you have noticed is the strange way certain people in your life have gone quiet. Not loud people, not strangers. People you used to hear from regularly. The text thread that used to be active has slowed down. The relative who used to call has not. The colleague who used to want your opinion has stopped asking. There has been no fight, no fallout, no clear reason, just a slow cooling. As if the season of being held inside their attention has ended and no one explained why. You have wondered, more than once, whether something is wrong with you, whether you have changed in some way that pushes people away, whether you are becoming hard to love, and you have not been able to find any evidence to comfort yourself with because the cooling did not come with a reason attached. The third thing you have noticed is something quieter and stranger than the first two. The part of you that used to crave noise has stopped craving it. There was a time in your life when silence felt unbearable, when the first thing you reached for in the morning was sound, a podcast, a song, a voice, anything to keep the inside of your head from being heard too clearly. But something has shifted. You have caught yourself driving in silence, sitting in your car for 3 or 4 minutes after parking, not getting out, doing dishes without anything playing in the background, going to bed without a show running. And the strange part is that the silence does not feel terrible anymore. It feels almost necessary, as if some part of you is finally hungry for something it could never name. The fourth thing you have noticed shows up in your sleep. You have been dreaming about empty rooms, about houses you used to live in but with most of the furniture removed, about hallways that go nowhere, about doors that do not open, about spaces that feel familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. You wake up and the dream stays with you for a few minutes. You can almost feel the texture of those rooms, and underneath the dream there is a feeling. The feeling that something is being made room for. The feeling that something is being cleared, slowly, and you do not yet know what is going to be placed there. The fifth thing you have noticed is the hardest to put into words, but I want to try. It is the feeling of being subtracted from. Things keep leaving your life, and you are not the one removing them. A habit you used to enjoy no longer pulls at you. A goal you had been chasing has lost its taste. A relationship you thought was permanent has thinned out. A version of yourself that you used to perform without thinking now feels like a costume that does not fit. A part of your work, or your routine, or your weekend life has gone flat in a way that surprises you, and no one is doing this to you. No event has caused it. It is just happening, quietly, steadily, like someone is going through the rooms of your inner house and removing what no longer belongs there. These 5 things, taken together, would feel like loss to almost anyone. That is the part that has been hurting you. You have been interpreting all of this through the language of loss. You have been reading these signs the way someone reads bad news, through a lens of fear and self-blame and quiet grief. You have wondered if you are being abandoned. You have wondered if you are being punished. You have wondered if you have done something terrible, and the universe is finally responding. Hear me carefully now, because I want you to release the wrong reading of this season. You are not being abandoned. You are not being punished. You are not being passed over. You are being prepared. I want to honor the pain of what you have been feeling, because the pain is real, and it deserves to be named, not skipped over. When the people who used to text you stop texting, that hurts. When the version of your life that felt full begins to feel thinner, that hurts. When the rooms in your dreams keep emptying out, that hurts. When you start to wonder whether you have been forgotten by the very people you spent years showing up for, that is one of the deepest aches a chosen one can carry. You have been carrying that ache without complaining out loud about it. You have been carrying it through normal days, through work, through small talk, through pretending you were fine when someone asked. You did not want to seem dramatic. You did not want to make a thing of it. You did not want to be the person at the dinner table who finally admitted out loud that something quiet had been breaking for a long time. You have been a private kind of strong for a long season now, and almost nobody has noticed how much it has cost you. I want you to know something. The one who sees you sees that. The one who sent this message tonight does not need you to explain it. He has been watching every closed door, every silent prayer, every quiet hour you thought he had missed. He missed nothing. And here is what I want you to hold from this point forward, because it is the reframe that everything else in this hour is built on top of. The subtraction is not punishment. The subtraction is preparation. What feels like a season of being abandoned is actually a season of being cleared. The hands that have been quietly removing things from your life are not the hands of an enemy. They are the hands of one who is making room for something that could not have arrived in the version of your life that existed 3 months ago. You did not lose those friendships because you were unworthy. You lost them because they could not travel with you into the room you are in tonight. You did not lose those plans because you failed. You lost them because they were not the right shape for what is being built next. You did not lose your appetite for noise because something is wrong with you. You lost it because the noise was no longer compatible with the frequency you are returning to. Before we go any deeper, I want you to know what is on the other side of this hour, because if you stay with me through what is coming, this is what you walk away with. You will be given a specific name for the chamber period you are in, drawn from one of the oldest words in Scripture that explains what is actually being formed in you right now. You will receive a 90-second practice that almost nobody teaches, which trains the part of you that has forgotten how to be still without filling the silence. You will be walked into a guided experience built around a sealed letter designed to soften the part of you that has been performing for years. And near the end, I will share 2 specific tools backed by neuroscience that 2 researchers built precisely for the season you are entering. So, stay alone, stay still. The hour has only just begun. But before any of that, there is something about this kind of chamber period that you need to understand at a level deeper than emotion. Because everything you have just heard is true, but the truth alone is not enough. You need to see how the chamber works. You need to see who has been here before you. You need to see the pattern that the Most High has been running for thousands of years on chosen ones who were being prepared for something the world was not ready to give them yet. There is a story I want to walk you into now. A story about a man who ran into the wilderness because he was exhausted and afraid and convinced that he had failed. A man whose own private chamber became the place where he heard the most important sentence of his life. His name was Elijah. Elijah had just done something extraordinary. He had stood on Mount Carmel and faced 450 prophets of an opposing system, and the fire of heaven had answered him. He had won the kind of public victory that most people spend their entire lives praying for. By every metric the world uses, he was at the height of his calling. And then, almost immediately, he collapsed. A queen named Jezebel sent him a single sentence threatening his life, and something inside him broke. The man who had been brave enough to challenge an empire could not handle one more sentence of pressure. He ran. He ran for a full day into the wilderness. He sat down under a small tree, and what came out of his mouth was the most honest thing he had said in years. He said, "It is enough. Take my life. I am no better than my fathers." There was no audience for those words. No one was watching. He had reached the end of his ability to perform faith for a public that did not understand the cost of what he was carrying. If you have ever, even for a moment, felt that exact sentence rising in your chest after a long season of giving everything, you understand Elijah more than most people who have ever read his story. He fell asleep under that tree. And here is the part of the story almost nobody talks about. While he was sleeping, an angel touched him, not to scold him, not to remind him of his mission, not to demand that he get back to work. The angel simply made him a small meal, bread, water, then let him sleep again, then made him another meal. The first response of heaven to a chosen one who had collapsed was not a sermon. It was food and rest, and the kind of gentleness that does not require the broken one to explain themselves. I want you to hold that image for a moment, because it matters for what is happening in your life right now. The first thing the Most High does for an exhausted chosen one is not give them a new assignment. The first thing he does is feed them in private. He restores them quietly. He lets them sleep. And only after the strength returns does he move them toward what comes next. Eventually, with the strength of those 2 private meals, Elijah walked for 40 days and 40 nights to a mountain called Horeb. And when he got there, he did not stand on top of the mountain. He went inside it. He found a cave. He went in, and he sat in the dark. That cave is the room you are in tonight. What happened next is one of the most quoted passages in Scripture, and almost everyone misreads it. A great wind came through the mountain, strong enough to break rocks, the kind of force that should have announced the presence of God. But the text says something strange. It says, "The Most High was not in the wind." Then there was an earthquake, powerful, disorienting, the kind of event that, in any ordinary religion, would have been read as divine arrival. But the text says again, "The Most High was not in the earthquake." Then there was fire, bright, consuming, the kind of fire that had answered Elijah on Mount Carmel only a few weeks earlier. And again the text says, "The Most High was not in the fire." After all of that, after every loud event had passed through the mountain and left, there was something so quiet that the original Hebrew word almost cannot be translated. The English text says, "a still small voice." Some translations say, "a low whisper." But the actual Hebrew word is older and stranger than any of those translations. The word is demama, and demama does not mean silence the way we usually think of it. It does not mean an absence of sound. It does not mean the empty space between 2 noises. Demama means a silence so thin that it can carry a voice. It is the silence that exists right before something else speaks. It is the texture of a room when someone is about to whisper a secret that has been kept for a long time. It is the quality of stillness that has weight, that has presence, that has the feeling of someone standing in the room with you before they say a word. In other words, demama is not the absence of God. Demama is the doorway through which God prefers to arrive. Most people, when they pray, are still trying to compete with the wind, the earthquake, and the fire of their own life. They are still trying to be loud enough to reach heaven. They are still treating prayer like a performance that must be heard above the volume of the world. They have not yet learned that heaven is rarely in the loud places. Heaven is almost always in the demama. But heaven has been telling chosen ones for 3,000 years that the most personal arrivals never come through volume, they come through demama. Through the quality of silence you can only enter when you have closed the door on the wind, the earthquake, and the fire. And here is what I want you to receive at the deepest level you can receive it tonight. The silence in the room you are sitting in right now is demama silence. It is not empty. It is not abandonment. It is not God ignoring you. It is not the quiet of a God who has gone elsewhere. It is the silence that has been engineered carefully, lovingly, by the Most High, so that something specific could finally be said to you without having to compete with all the other voices that have been louder than Him for most of your adult life. You have been kept in this kind of silence for a reason. The reason is about to become clear. Look at the texture of the room around you. The silence you are sitting in is the same silence Elijah sat in. The mountain is different. The century is different. The story is different. But the silence is the same. You did not arrive at this hour by accident. You arrived because the Most High has been moving you toward this exact texture of stillness for a long time. He removed the noise that would have filled this room. He removed the people whose voices would have crowded out His. He removed the version of your schedule that used to keep you from sitting still long enough to be addressed. He has been preparing the conditions of demama for you, and tonight you finally entered them. What is about to be said in this room is not theology. It is not a sermon. It is not a piece of content. It is a private sentence addressed to a specific chosen one, designed to land in a specific room, on a specific night, in a specific quality of silence. You, tonight, here. Before I take you any deeper, I want to do something honest with you, because this hour deserves honesty. What you are about to hear, you should hear directly, without veils, without the building of mystery, for the sake of selling. Truth honors truth, so let me name what is real, before another moment passes. There are two specific tools that I am going to share with you near the end of this hour. I am not going to pitch them now. I am going to mention them now, because mystery for the sake of mystery is not the way this kind of room is meant to work. The first tool is called the Genius Song. It is a short audio track, around 7 minutes long, created by a neuroscientist named Dr. Lake, after 34 years of research at institutions like MIT and Princeton. It targets a specific frequency in the brain called gamma that almost every chosen one used to live in as a child. Around the age of 7, that frequency starts to dim in most people. Schools, modern life, the slow accumulation of stress, all of it quietly turns the volume down on the part of you that used to learn instantly and believe in magic without effort. Dr. Lake found a way to wake that part of you back up. The second tool is called the Wealth Signal. It was built independently by another researcher, Dr. Newton, who came at the same problem from a completely different direction, working out of Stanford and other research institutions. His work focused on a different brain frequency, called alpha, that opens what neuroscientists describe as a kind of channel between your conscious mind and the deeper parts of your awareness. That channel, in most adults, is closed. Stress closes it. Fear closes it. The endless adult survival mode closes it. Dr. Newton built a 5-minute audio paired with an ancient practice that helps that channel open again. Together, these two tools form what is called the two-wave stack. Wave 1 wakes the child mind. Wave 2 opens the receiving channel. They are designed to be used in sequence. Wave 1 first, Wave 2 second. There is a reason for that order, and I will walk you through it later in this hour. For now, all I want you to know is that the path is in the description and the pinned comment. Both tools are there. You do not need to do anything with that information yet. We are nowhere near the moment of decision. I just want you to know that the rest of this hour is not going to suddenly turn into an ad you did not see coming. The tools exist. They will be discussed properly when the moment is right. For now, what matters is what is happening in this room, because the chamber you are in tonight is not the first sealed room that has mattered. There were others, caves where prophets hid, inner rooms where Jesus told his disciples to pray, wells where chosen ones met the Most High in the middle of the day, gardens where everything was decided in private before being announced in public. There is a pattern across thousands of years of these stories, and the pattern is not random. It tells us something specific about how the Most High actually does his most important work in chosen lives. There is a Greek word for the kind of room you are in tonight. It is older than most of the language you grew up speaking. It comes from a single sentence Jesus said about prayer, and the meaning of that word is going to change the way you see this room, this hour, and the entire season you have been walking through. I want to take you into that word now, because once you understand what it actually means, you will understand why the cancellations had to happen, why the silence had to fall, and why this hour is not what you thought it was. About 2,000 years ago, a teacher sat down on a hillside in Galilee and gave a long speech that has been quoted more than almost any other speech in human history. In the middle of that speech, he said something specific about prayer. He said, "When you pray, do not be like the people who stand on street corners trying to be seen praying. When you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is in the secret place. And the Father who sees in secret will reward you openly." Most people read that sentence the way you read instructions for a chore. Go into your room, close the door, as if the teacher was simply saying, find a private place, lock the door behind you, have a conversation with God when no one else is looking. But the word he used for room was not the word for bedroom. The Greek of that century had a perfectly ordinary word for a sleeping chamber. He did not use it. He chose a different word on purpose. The word he chose was tamion. And tamion does not mean bedroom. In the Greek of that century, tamion meant the innermost storeroom of a house. The small, locked chamber, usually buried somewhere near the center of the home, where a family kept its most valuable things. Their grain, in case of famine. Their gold, hidden away from raiders. Their inheritance documents, the papers that proved who they were, what they owned, who their children were. Tamion was the vault. When the teacher said, go into your tamion and shut the door, he was not just saying, find a private place. He was saying, go into the vault. Go into the locked chamber where your family keeps its most valuable things. Go to the place that is built to hold treasure, and pray there. There is a reason this matters for the room you are in tonight, because the room you are in is not just a room. It has just become a tamion. The moment you sat down alone with the intention of finally hearing something, the geometry of this place changed. What looks like an ordinary corner of your home is, for the next hour, the inner storeroom, the vault, the place where the most valuable thing in your life is being held in trust. Most adult chosen ones have been praying their entire lives in public, even when they were alone, even when no one was watching. Their prayers had an audience baked into them. They were performing their prayer for a version of God they thought required performance. They were reciting words they thought sounded right. They were trying to be heard the way they had been taught to be heard. And underneath all of that, there was a quiet exhaustion that came from never being able to drop the act, even in private. The vault is the opposite of the street corner. It is the place where performance is not just unnecessary, but actually impossible, because no one is there to perform for. The father who sees in secret is the father who is only available in secret, not because he refuses to come out in public, but because the kind of conversation he wants to have with you can only happen in a tamayon. You are in one now. The vault is open. The door is closed. The conversation has begun. This is not the first time the Most High has used a sealed room to do his deepest work. The pattern runs through the entire story of every chosen one who ever became dangerous to the world they were sent into. There was a young man named David who, before he ever sat on a throne, spent years hiding in a cave called Adullam. He had been anointed as a future king, but the present king wanted him dead, so he ran. He hid in a wide cave somewhere in the hills of Judah. And the strangest thing happened. Other people, broken people, exhausted people, people the existing system had no use for, started showing up at the mouth of that cave. Outcasts, debtors, the forgotten. The book of Samuel says about 400 of them gathered around David in the cave of Adullam. And those 400 broken men, who had nothing but each other and the runaway king, eventually became the mighty men of David. The most loyal warriors in the history of Israel were forged in a cave, not a palace. The leadership skill that would later run a kingdom was developed in a hidden chamber, not in a royal training program. David could not have learned what he needed to learn anywhere else but in Adullam. There was another man, much later, named Jesus, who right after his baptism was led into the wilderness for 40 days, not to teach, not to heal, not to perform miracles, just to be alone, just to fast, just to be tested in private before he was ever tested in public. The most powerful 3 years of public ministry in human history were preceded by 40 private days that almost no one talks about. He came out of that wilderness with something he did not have when he went in. Not new theology, not a new strategy, a new relationship to silence, a new resistance to flattery and to threat, a new kind of stability that the world had never seen in any teacher before. And there was a moment, just a few decades after that, when a small group of disciples were told to go into a specific room in Jerusalem and wait. They had just watched their teacher leave. They were grieving. They were confused. They were not sure if any of what had happened was going to translate into anything real. They were told to go into an upper room and stay there until they were given power. So, they went. They sat in that room for 10 days. They prayed. They waited. They argued. Probably. They wondered if they had heard wrong. And on the 10th day, in that exact upper room, something descended that would eventually reshape the entire ancient world. Notice the pattern. A future king is hidden in a cave before he becomes a king. A future leader is hidden in a wilderness before he becomes a leader. A future movement is hidden in an upper room before it becomes a movement. Every commissioning that has ever mattered in the story of chosen ones has been preceded by a chamber period. Every public assignment has had a private sealed room behind it. The chamber is not the punishment. The chamber is the preparation. The chamber is the place where what is going to be released into the world is finally given the room and the silence and the time it needs to be properly formed. And the chamber you are in tonight is no different. I want to slow down and tell you something about the word tameyong that almost no preacher will ever bring up, because the word has a history that goes deeper than just Greek translation. In ancient Mediterranean homes, the tamayon was always one of the most carefully built rooms in the house. It was usually hidden behind other rooms. It often had a thicker door than the rest of the house. The lock was treated as one of the most important locks in the family's possession. Some homes had a specific child whose job it was, when they came of age, to learn where the key was kept and how to use it. The tamayon was the room you only entered for a reason. You did not casually walk in. You did not bring guests there. You did not even take family members in there unless something serious was happening. The tamayon was treated with respect because what was inside it was the substance of your family's continuation, your survival in famine, your protection in war, your inheritance for the next generation. When the teacher said, "Go into your tamayon to pray," he was using a word that every person in his audience knew with their whole body. They did not have to imagine what he meant. They knew. He was saying, "Go into the room of your house that you only enter when something serious is happening. Go into the room you are most careful with. Go into the vault." Do you know what most people miss about that sentence? He did not say, "Go into the tamayon to ask." He said, "Go into the tamayon to pray." There is a difference. Asking happens at the door. Praying happens in the vault. Asking is when you knock and hope someone hears. Praying is when you have already been let inside, and now you sit down with the one who owns the house. And the conversation that happens between you is a conversation of family, not a conversation of strangers. You are not in the asking room tonight. You are in the praying room. You cross that threshold the moment you close the door. So the question becomes, what is actually being built in here? What is the tamayon of your life forming in you right now? Because if you are in a chamber period, it is not random, it is purposeful. Something is being added to you that could not be added in public. There are several substances that get formed in chosen ones during chamber seasons. Some of them you can already feel surfacing. Some of them are quieter, working underneath, in places you cannot fully see yet. I want to walk you through them, because once you can see what is actually being built, the chamber stops feeling like deprivation and starts feeling like the gift it has always been. The first substance being formed in you is discernment. Discernment is not the same as intelligence. Intelligence is fast. Discernment is slow. Intelligence reads the room. Discernment reads the truth underneath the room. You have noticed, over the past few months, that you can tell when something is off in a way you could not before. You can sense when a conversation has a hidden agenda. You can feel when a person is performing instead of being honest. You can almost hear the difference between what someone is saying and what they actually mean. That sensitivity was not there a year ago. It has been growing in you slowly. It has been growing in the silence. Because discernment cannot be developed in noisy rooms. It can only be developed in chambers where the only thing left to compare a voice against is the inner voice you have finally been hearing again. The second substance being formed in you is capacity. By capacity, I mean the ability to hold weight without breaking. You used to react quickly to small things. A text that felt off would ruin your morning. An argument with someone close to you would consume your week. A piece of bad news would tip your nervous system into a tailspin you could not recover from quickly. But something has been changing. You can carry more now without spilling. You can sit with a difficult feeling for longer without rushing to fix it. You can hear hard news without immediately needing to talk to 10 people about it. The chamber has been quietly stretching the size of what you can hold. And here is the part that almost no one tells you. You cannot do public work at the level you are about to be asked to do it without the capacity that is being built in this exact season. The chamber is increasing your interior square footage so that what is coming next can fit inside you without crushing you. The third substance being formed in you is boundaries. Not the kind of boundaries that get talked about in popular books. Not boundaries as a strategy for getting your way. Real boundaries, the kind that come from finally knowing what you are and what you are not. You have noticed that you have started saying no to things that you used to say yes to. Not because you are angry, not because you are bitter, just because the word no has finally gotten its proper weight back in your mouth. You used to say yes out of fear. Out of the fear that no would mean rejection, abandonment, conflict. But in the chamber, fear has been quietly losing its grip on your decisions. You have begun to say no, the way a tree says no to wind. Not with effort, just with rootedness. Boundaries that grow from rootedness do not need to be defended. They simply hold. The fourth substance being formed in you is voice recognition. I do not mean only the voice of the Most High, although that too is being sharpened in you. I mean the voice of your own true self, the voice underneath the voices that have been borrowed from other people, the voice that was almost never heard while you were performing for an audience that did not know you. In the chamber, the borrowed voices are slowly being subtracted. The voice of the parent who told you who you were supposed to be, the voice of the teacher who measured you wrongly, the voice of the partner who softened you into a shape you did not ask to be, the voice of the culture that promised you would matter if you just achieved enough. All of those voices are getting quieter in the chamber because there is no one in the room to keep them alive. And underneath them, your actual voice is starting to come through. Slow, strange, sometimes quieter than you expected, but unmistakable. It is the voice you used to have as a child, before the world told you to use a different one. These four substances, discernment, capacity, boundaries, and voice recognition, are not given for free. They are the inheritance that has been kept in the tamion of your life, waiting for you to be alone enough to receive them. They cannot be given in crowds. They cannot be given through performance. They can only be given in the kind of room you are sitting in right now. Before we go any further, I want to do something with you that you may not have given yourself permission to do in a long time. You are allowed to have been alone this long. You are allowed to not have explained any of it to anyone. You are allowed to have failed at performing during a season when performing was not what was being asked of you. You are allowed to have looked, from the outside, like someone whose life was getting smaller, while you were quietly being rebuilt from the inside out. You are allowed to have made fewer plans and answered fewer texts and shown up to fewer events and disappointed people who were used to having access to a version of you that no longer exists. You are allowed to be in formation. You do not have to apologize for the season you are in. You do not have to explain it to people who would not understand it, even if you had the words. You do not have to perform recovery to make others comfortable. You do not have to pretend you know exactly what is happening in order to be allowed to keep going. The chamber does not require you to understand it in order to do its work in you. It only requires that you stay. The one who has been in this room with you from the beginning of this hour wants to say something to you directly, not from me, but through me. The words are not mine to say, but I will say them on his behalf, because that is what is being placed on my heart for you in this moment. I brought you into this room because I could not be heard above the volume of the room you used to live in. I closed the doors not because I love you less, but because I would not raise my voice over the noise of the world to reach a child like you. Be still, here with me. There is something I have been holding for you that does not fit anywhere except in this hour. You have not been forgotten. You have been kept. And what is kept in the vault is never lost. It is only waiting for the right hand to open the door at the right time. The chamber is not the destination. The chamber is the door. And the door is about to open onto something specific, something you have been waiting for without knowing you were waiting for it. There is a sequence to what comes next, and you cannot skip it. You cannot rush it. You cannot demand that it arrive faster than the order it has been given. I want to pause for just a few seconds here, because what has been said so far has been heavy in a good way, and you have been receiving it for a while now, without much break. You do not have to do anything with this moment. You do not have to memorize what you have just heard. You do not have to take notes. You do not have to figure out how this fits into the rest of your life. There will be time for that, but it does not need to happen in the next 30 seconds. What I would like, just for a small space of time, is for you to acknowledge to yourself, quietly, that you have been carrying a kind of weight no one has ever properly named for you. The chamber has cost you something. The silence has cost you something. The strange way certain people have left your life has cost you something. None of it has been free. Just acknowledge it. Not relief, not celebration, not even understanding. Only acknowledgement that you have been doing something difficult, alone, for a long time, and you have not been making it up. That is enough. We can keep walking now. What was named in the silence does not stay silent for long. It begins to speak, and what it speaks of next is not what you have endured. It is what you are now about to receive. Because the chamber, as deep as it is only one half of the architecture. The other half is what the chamber leads to. The other half is what is delivered to a chosen one whose interior has been properly prepared. Without the rest of the architecture, the chamber by itself becomes another form of suffering. It has to lead somewhere. It has to open onto something. And what it opens onto is the substance of what I want to say to you next. There is a principle that runs through every story of every chosen one who ever became important enough to be remembered. The principle is not complicated, but it is often forgotten. The principle is this: everything that is given to you in private will eventually be tested in public. But the order matters. Private receiving must precede public revealing. Most people in this generation have it backwards. They want to be revealed in public before they have been received in private. They want the platform before the formation. They want the influence before the depth. They want the audience before the architecture. And the few who manage to skip the chamber and get the platform anyway always burn out, almost without exception, within the first 18 months of arrival. You have probably watched this happen to people you knew. People who reached the public version of what they had been chasing. People who got the role, the follower count, the recognition, the influence. And then, somewhere between month 9 and month 20, you watch them collapse, or shrink, or compromise, or disappear into a version of themselves you did not recognize. It was not their fault in the way most people read it. They were not weak. They were not undisciplined. They had simply been given more weight than the chamber period had prepared them to carry. They had skipped the formation, and the public assignment had outpaced the interior. You will not be among them, because the Most High has been holding you in formation precisely so that this does not happen to you. When the door of this chamber finally opens, you will not be released into the public version of your assignment with a borrowed interior. You will be released with a real one, a built one, a formed one. The kind of interior that does not buckle under the first wave of attention. The kind of architecture that holds its shape under praise, under criticism, under loneliness at the top, and under the slow temptations that always show up the moment a person becomes visible in a way they have never been visible before. You are being kept here so that you will last out there. While you have been in this chamber, 3 specific areas of your life have been quietly reorganizing without your full awareness. You may have noticed pieces of it, but I want to name all 3 so you can see the architecture from above. The first area is your relationships. Your current state in this area is that you have fewer close relationships than you had 2 or 3 years ago. The list of people you would call in a hard moment has gotten shorter. Some of that has been painful. Some of that has been a relief. What is shifting is that the people who could not travel into the chamber with you have been quietly removed from the inner circle. What you should watch for is the slow arrival of new people who will appear, often unexpectedly, who carry a similar interior frequency to the one you have been developing. They will arrive without forcing themselves in. They will feel familiar in a way that surprises you. How you cooperate with this shift is by not begging back the people who were removed. The chamber is not a relationship rehab. It is a relationship reorganization. Some of those people are gone for good. Some are paused. A few will return in a different shape later, but the right ones will arrive without you having to chase them down. The second area is your inner geometry. Your current state in this area is that you do not know yourself the way you used to. The labels you used to use, the identity statements you used to make, the way you used to describe yourself to others, all of it has gone strangely soft. You catch yourself starting to introduce yourself a certain way and then trailing off because the old description no longer fits. What is shifting is that the borrowed identity is being subtracted, and the underneath identity is starting to surface. What you should watch for is small moments of recognition where something in you says, "That is who I actually am," even when you cannot put it into words yet. How you cooperate with this shift is by allowing yourself to be unfinished for a season. You do not have to have a clean new label by next week. The chamber takes its time. The new geometry will emerge in its own rhythm. The temptation will be to rush a new identity before it has fully arrived. Resist that temptation. Stay unfinished a little longer. The third area is your external opportunity. Your current state in this area is that doors that used to be open are closing, and doors you did not know existed are starting to creak open. Some of the closing is painful. Some of the opening is confusing because the new doors do not look like what you used to be aiming at. What is shifting is that the shape of your future is being recalibrated to match the version of you that is being formed in the chamber, instead of the version of you that was performing in the old life. What you should watch for is opportunities that arrive with a strange specificity, where the opportunity seems to know things about you that you have not advertised. How you cooperate with this shift is by not chasing the closed doors. Closed doors in this season are mercies, even when they hurt. Open doors in this season are invitations, even when they look smaller than what you thought you wanted. Hear me carefully now, because this is the part that has to be said honestly. I am not promising you that everything will arrive next week. I am not promising you that the closed doors will reopen by the end of the month. I am not promising you that the people who left will all come back. I am not promising you that the new shape of your life will be clear to you by tomorrow morning. What I am describing is an architecture being built. Architectures take time. A real foundation, the kind that will hold a tall building, requires more time than the building itself. The chamber period of every chosen one in the history of these stories took longer than they wanted it to. David was in the cave of Adullam for years. The teacher was in the wilderness for 40 days, but his entire chamber period, the long, quiet years before his public ministry began, lasted around 3 decades. The disciples in the upper room sat there for 10 days that probably felt like a lifetime. Your chamber will end at the right time, not at the convenient time. It will end when what is being built in you is actually built, not when you are tired of waiting. But the architecture, once finished, holds weight that quick fixes never could. The chosen ones who go through proper chamber periods become the kind of people whose lives quietly outlast every trend, every season, every cultural shift. Because they were not built on borrowed scaffolding, they were built on the floor of a vault. That is what is being built in you. Before any of this can be received cleanly, there is something inside you that has been resisting it, and that resistance is not random. It has a specific shape. It has a specific origin, and unless we name it, it will continue to push the gift away the moment it begins to arrive. There is something in you that learned, a long time ago, to be uncomfortable with stillness. There is something in you that learned, a long time ago, to fill silence the moment it appeared. There is something in you that learned, a long time ago, to associate being unseen with being unloved. And that something has been the quiet enemy of every chamber period you have ever tried to enter. You are about to meet that part of yourself. But every truth that arrives in solitude eventually meets a guardian at the gate, and that guardian has been there longer than you remember. Before we name that guardian, I want to give you something practical. Because the chamber is not just a season, it is also a skill. There is a way to be inside this kind of stillness well, and there is a way to be inside it badly. Most chosen ones, when they first enter a chamber period, do not know how to tell the difference between the voice of their inner wisdom and the voice of their fear. The two voices can sound almost identical at first. Both of them speak in the same quiet tone. Both of them feel personal. Both of them can carry urgency. And in the first few weeks of any real chamber, the chosen one will often follow the wrong voice, simply because they have not yet learned how to recognize which one is which. I want to give you a way to tell them apart, because once you can hear the difference, the chamber stops being confusing. There are three markers of the true inner voice: the voice of your actual knowing, the voice the Most High uses when he is speaking through your spirit instead of around it. The first marker is consistency across days. The true voice does not change its mind based on your mood. If something is being said to you on a Tuesday morning at peace, and the same thing is still being said to you on a Friday night at 3 in the morning when you cannot sleep, that consistency is one of the strongest signs that the voice you are hearing is real. Fear is reactive. Fear changes by the hour. The true voice has a strange steadiness that does not bend to your emotional weather. The second marker is that the voice leads you toward integration, not isolation. The true voice may ask you to step away from certain relationships for a season. It may ask you to set boundaries that feel uncomfortable. It may ask you to disappoint people who are used to a version of you that no longer fits. But it will never lead you toward total isolation from healthy connection. It will not tell you that you are the only one who understands. It will not tell you that everyone around you is the enemy. It will not feed a story where you alone are right and the world is conspiring against you. Fear isolates. Wisdom integrates, even when it asks you to be selective about who you integrate with. The third marker is that the true voice survives daylight. The voice you hear at 3 in the morning, in the heat of an emotional moment, is not always the same voice you hear when the sun comes up and you have eaten and rested. The true voice is the one that is still saying the same thing the next morning. The voice that fades as soon as the emotion passes was probably not the true voice. It was the echo of an old fear dressed up to sound spiritual. There are also three markers of the fear voice: the voice of your wounded patterns pretending to be guidance. The first marker is urgency without clarity. The fear voice always pushes you to act now, but it cannot tell you exactly why. It just knows you need to do something immediately. The true voice carries urgency sometimes, but it is always accompanied by clarity. You know what you are being moved toward. You know why. The fear voice only knows that something must change before it can be examined. The second marker is that the fear voice leads you toward separation from healthy relationships, not boundaries. Separation. There is a difference. Boundaries say, this is the version of relationship I can sustainably offer right now. Separation says, you are bad and I must leave you completely. If you find yourself in the chamber, hearing a voice that wants to burn down every healthy connection in your life, that voice is not coming from the Most High. It is coming from a younger, frightened part of you that learned, somewhere in your history, that loneliness was safer than disappointment. The third marker is that the fear voice collapses under questioning. If you sit with what the voice is saying and you ask it gentle, slow questions about its origins, it will usually start to fall apart. The true voice does not collapse under examination. It holds. It welcomes the questions. It says, "Ask me anything, I am made of substance." The fear voice cannot tolerate slow questioning because it is made of momentum, not substance. Slow it down and it dissolves. Hold those 6 markers somewhere in you for the rest of this hour. The chamber will be much easier to walk through with them than without them. But every truth that arrives in solitude eventually meets a guardian at the gate, and that guardian has been there longer than you remember. The guardian is the part of you that has been resisting this chamber from the first day you stepped into it. And we have arrived at the point in this hour where that part of you needs to be looked at directly. Because there is a reason this season has been harder than it should have been. There is something in you that has been at war with the silence, even while another part of you has been craving it. I want you to look at something honest with me. The way the silence has felt to you over the past few months has not been simple. There has been a quiet relief in it, yes, but underneath the relief there has been something else. A discomfort, an itchiness, a low-grade panic that surfaces when the room gets too quiet for too long. You have noticed that you fill silence the moment it appears. The shower has a podcast running, the kitchen has music, the drive has a phone call you did not actually need to take, the meal has a show, the bedtime has an audiobook. There has been almost no moment in the past several years where you have been truly without stimulus, except for short, accidental gaps that you ended as quickly as you noticed them. This is not laziness. It is not modern life. It is not just the way everyone is now. It is something older, something specific to your particular history. And until we name it, it will keep sabotaging the chamber every time you try to enter it. The first layer of what is happening shows up in your behavior. You can see it from the outside if you watch yourself for a week. You will notice that you cannot finish a meal without a screen. You cannot drive a 30-minute commute without sound. You cannot do the dishes without something playing. You cannot fall asleep without input running. You cannot sit on a couch for 10 minutes without picking up your phone. You have not been bored, in the truest sense of bored, in possibly years. You have not allowed your nervous system to experience the texture of an unfilled moment for any meaningful stretch of time. If you tracked it, you would be quietly disturbed by how thorough the avoidance has become. Almost every gap in your day has a noise patch glued to it. But behavior is the surface. Behavior is the symptom. We have to go underneath it. The second layer is emotional. Underneath the constant filling of silence, there is a feeling that you do not want to feel. The feeling is hard to describe in words, but I will try. It is the feeling of being unwitnessed, of being a person whose inner life is happening with no one watching. The feeling that, if you stop performing for an audience, even an imaginary one, the audience will leave, and you will be alone with a self you do not yet know how to keep company. That feeling is older than you think. It did not start in adulthood. It started a long time ago. The third layer, underneath the behavior and underneath the emotion, is spiritual. It is the layer where strategies get formed in childhood that quietly run the rest of a life. And the strategy at work in you, the one that has been making the chamber so much harder than it needed to be, is performance. Performance was not random. It was a strategy a younger version of you adopted to feel chosen, to feel safe, to feel real. Somewhere in your history, you learned that quiet attention from the people whose love you needed the most was correlated with how well you performed. Maybe it was overt. Maybe one of the adults in your early life only really looked at you when you were achieving something. Maybe you got the warm version of a parent only when you came home with a good grade, or behaved a certain way at the family dinner, or made the family look good in front of guests. Maybe it was less obvious than that. Maybe it was that the household was busy or stressed or distracted, and the only reliable way to get a moment of full presence from the adults you loved was to do something noticeable, to be funny, to be helpful, to be useful. The strategy worked. You learned that performance brought you bursts of attention that felt almost like love, and the part of you that needed love took notes. It catalogued exactly what kinds of performance, produced exactly what kinds of attention, and it built a life around delivering them. That strategy is still running. It did not turn off when you became an adult. It just got more sophisticated. You have been performing for so long that you no longer always know when you are doing it. You perform competence at work, even when you are exhausted. You perform fineness in conversations, even when you are not fine. You perform happiness in family settings, even when you are grieving. You perform stability for people who cannot handle your real instability. You perform spiritual depth for people who would not stay in your life if you ever showed them how lost you really feel sometimes. The cost of all that performance is that you have rarely, if ever, been received as you actually are. You have been received as the version of you that was useful to other people, the version that earned its keep, the version that was safe to be around because it never demanded anything that was not pre-approved. And now, in the chamber, the Most High is asking you to do something that the strategy cannot survive. He is asking you to be unwitnessed for a season. He is asking you to do good things no one will know about. He is asking you to receive in private. He is asking you to drop the costume in a room where there is no audience. The performance strategy is panicking. It is whispering to you, sometimes loudly, that if you stop performing, you will disappear. That if no one is watching, you do not exist. That if you are not producing visible value, you are not worth the space you take up. That is the guardian at the gate, and I want to look at it with you directly. The belief underneath all of it, the belief that has been quietly running your life, is this: if I stop performing, I will disappear. You may have never said it in those exact words. You may have never even thought it consciously, but it has been the engine. It is the reason your hand reaches for your phone before your eyes are even open in the morning. It is the reason you cannot tolerate a meal without a screen. It is the reason silence feels like a small emergency. It is the reason you have struggled over and over to stay in this chamber period without sabotaging it. Because at some level, the part of you that learned to perform believes that the cessation of performance is the cessation of self. It believes that being is not enough, that doing is what makes you real. I want you to hear something now, and I want you to hear it slowly, because it is the reframe that the rest of your life is going to need to be built on top of. The version of you that would disappear if the performance stopped was never you to begin with. She was a cast member. He was a role. It was a costume that the younger version of you stitched together because no one taught you how to be loved without earning it. The costume served a purpose. The costume kept you alive. The costume got you through years of conditions that did not know how to receive the actual you. The costume deserves gratitude. It is not your enemy. But the costume is not you. The actual you has been backstage for a long time, waiting for the room to clear, waiting for the audience to leave, waiting for the day when the performance could finally end without it costing you everything. The actual you is the one the Most High has been speaking to in this entire chamber period. Not the performer, not the producer, not the achiever, not the version that other people approve of. The you underneath. When that you finally stops being asked to perform, she will not disappear. He will not disappear. The opposite will happen. For the first time in your adult life, you will be present. That is what the chamber is actually for. The chamber is not the absence of life. The chamber is the place where the real you is allowed to come out from backstage and be received, possibly for the first time, by the only audience that ever actually mattered. The Most High has not been trying to take your life away from you. He has been trying to give you back to yourself. I want to give you a set of permissions now, because the performance strategy will not loosen its grip until permission is explicitly handed to you. Strategies that were installed in childhood respond to permission, the way locked doors respond to keys. They do not unlock to argument. They unlock to permission. You are allowed to be unwitnessed. You are allowed to have hours of your day where no one knows what you are doing, and the hours are still meaningful. You are allowed to do good things no one will praise you for. You are allowed to grow in directions no one will notice for a long time. You are allowed to receive things in private that you never have to mention in public. You are allowed to be loved without having to earn it. You are allowed to disappear from rooms where being seen was costing you more than being absent ever would. You are allowed to take yourself out of rotations where you were never being received, only being used. You are allowed to have a self that exists when no one is looking at it. Read those permissions again, slowly, in your own time, after this hour ends. They were not given to you when you needed them as a child. They are being given to you now. There is a small practice I want to teach you, because you cannot release a strategy this old by understanding alone. Understanding is the beginning. Practice is what makes the understanding real in the body and in the nervous system. I am going to call this practice the 90-second sealed door. It is the simplest thing I will ask you to do tonight, and it is also one of the most counterintuitive practices most chosen ones will ever be given. Almost every spiritual tool you have ever been taught asked you to do something, to breathe a certain way, to say a certain phrase, to visualize a certain image, to pray a certain prayer. This practice asks you to do almost the exact opposite. There are 3 steps. Step 1 is to close a door. Any door. The door of the room you are in tonight will work. It does not have to be ceremonial. You do not have to light anything. You do not have to play music. You only have to close one door, with the intention of being inside what you closed. Step 2 is the counterintuitive part. Once the door is closed, do nothing. Do nothing for 90 seconds. Do not pray. Do not breathe in any particular pattern. Do not count anything. Do not say anything to yourself, out loud or in your head. Do not visualize. Do not set an intention. Do not even try to be still. Just exist inside 90 seconds of having stopped. Step 3 is to ask one question, and only one, when the 90 seconds end. The question is, what was just here? Not, what should I do next? Not, what is the lesson? Not, what does this mean? Just, what was just here? Then close the door behind the question. End the practice. Walk back into your day. I want you to know why this practice works, because if you do not know why, you will not stay with it. It works because the performance strategy lives on doing. It is sustained by tasks. It is reinforced every time you complete an action and receive an internal sense of having earned your place in the day. The practice deprives the strategy of its food. 90 seconds of doing nothing is long enough to make the performance part of you genuinely uncomfortable, but short enough that you can survive it. And in those 90 seconds, the part of you that exists without producing anything begins to slowly, quietly surface. The first time you try this, 90 seconds will feel like a long time. By the second week, it will feel ordinary. By the second month, the part of you that used to panic in silence will have learned, at the level of nervous system, that it is safe to exist without producing. That is the real shift, not a thought. A nervous system update. If at any point during the 90 seconds you find your hand reaching for your phone, or your mouth opening to say something to yourself, or your mind racing to plan, just notice it without judgment and let the reaching pass. The reaching is the strategy trying to feed itself. The not reaching is the chamber doing its real work in you. The version of yourself who knows how to receive in private has been forming for longer than you realize. Tonight is not the first time she has tried to come forward. He has been knocking at the inside of your awareness for months, looking for a quiet enough hour to actually arrive in. This is the hour. I want to tell you a story now, a real one, in essence. The names are kept private because the substance of the story belongs to the person who lived it, and what they walked through is more important than who they were. But everything I am about to describe happened in the life of an actual chosen one in the last year, and I want you to hear it, because it will give you a picture of what a real chamber period can produce when it is honored instead of resisted. About 6 months ago, this chosen one was at the height of a public season. Their work had momentum, their schedule was full. Invitations were arriving from every direction. They were being asked to speak at events they had spent years dreaming of being asked to speak at. From the outside, the life looked enviable. They had reached a version of what they had been chasing. And then, over the span of about 8 days, almost all of it quietly fell apart. A major partnership ended. The reasons were vague. The timing was suspicious. They were not given a clean explanation. A trusted relationship cooled in the same week. A speaking engagement they had been counting on was rescheduled and then quietly cancelled. A piece of work they had been preparing for months received feedback that crushed something inside them. By the end of those 8 days, the structure that had been holding their public life upright had been shaken in a way they could not put back together. The temptation in the days that followed was to do what every adult is taught to do when the structure shakes: hustle harder, reach out to more contacts, replace the lost opportunities with new ones as fast as possible, move quickly so the cracks would not show, perform stability so that no one would notice the collapse underneath. They did not do that. Something in them, something that had been quiet for a long time, said, "Do not move, do not chase, do not perform fineness right now. Go into the room." They listened. They cancelled 6 commitments in 1 week. They stopped posting. They stopped explaining themselves. They told 2 close friends, briefly, that they were in a season of stillness. And then they stopped offering even those small explanations to anyone else. They did not announce a chamber period to their audience. They did not turn it into a story. They just disappeared, quietly, from the rotation of their public life. For the first 3 weeks, it was almost unbearable. The performance strategy fought back hard. They woke up most mornings with a low-grade panic about everything they were not doing. They watched their inbox fill up with things they could have answered and did not. They watched opportunities pass that, in their old life, they would have grabbed without thinking. The part of them that had built its identity around productivity went into something close to grief. By week 4, the panic started to soften. By week 6, they slept differently, the kind of sleep they had not had in years. By week 10, something stranger happened. The voice they had not heard in a long time, the voice underneath the performance, began to speak again. Not in dramatic ways, in small ways. A clear sense of what to say no to. A clear sense of what they had been pretending to enjoy that they did not actually enjoy. A clear sense of which relationships had been sustaining them and which had been quietly draining them. The discernment came back. The capacity came back. The voice came back. By month 4, they started receiving invitations of a kind they had never received before. Not bigger versions of the old invitations, different in shape, more aligned, less performative. coming from people whose work they actually respected, instead of from systems that had been using their visibility. By month 6, the chamber began, on its own rhythm, to open. The opening was not an announcement. It was a slow widening. New work arrived. New relationships arrived. A piece of land they had stopped looking for became available. A partnership began in a private conversation that took place in a room with no audience. A version of their public life that they could not have manufactured on their own began to assemble itself, almost without effort, around the new shape of who they had become inside. When they later spoke about that 6 months, they said something that I want to give to you tonight. They said, "What arrived was not what I had asked for. It was something I had forgotten I was promised." That is the sentence I want you to carry out of this hour. The chamber does not always give you what you asked for. The chamber gives you what you had forgotten you were promised. The two are not the same. The first is the object of your striving. The second is the inheritance that has been sitting in the vault, waiting for you to be still enough, formed enough, and unperformed enough to receive it. This chosen one walked into a chamber, stayed in the chamber, did the unglamorous work of letting their performance strategy starve to death, and walked out the other side with a different life. Not a louder one, a truer one. The substance underneath the visibility had finally caught up with the visibility. They proved themselves in silence before they allowed themselves to be proven in public. That sentence is not a slogan. It is a structural law. The chosen ones who last are the ones whose interior architecture was built before the public scaffolding went up. The chosen ones who burn out are the ones whose public scaffolding outpaced their interior. There are no exceptions to this pattern that I have ever seen in any field, in any decade, in any tradition. You are in your own version of those 6 months right now, maybe earlier than month 6, maybe further along than you realize. The exact timing is not the point. The point is that what is being formed in you in this season is not separate from what will arrive on the other side. They are the same substance. The chamber is the form, the arrival is the content. They cannot be split. But the chamber experience that this chosen one walked through, and the chamber experience you are walking through, is not just about discipline or willpower. There is something underneath all of it that almost no one has explained to you yet. It is a brain state, a specific, measurable, repeatable brain state. And the science behind that brain state is something the world has been quietly suppressing for longer than you realize. Every chosen one who has ever entered a real chamber period has been entering, without knowing it, into a particular set of frequencies that the human brain was originally designed to live in. Frequencies that were active in you when you were a child. Frequencies that almost every adult has lost access to. Frequencies that the modern world has been quietly turning down on entire generations of children who, like you, were once fully alive in them. 2 researchers, working independently, have spent decades mapping exactly what those frequencies are, what shuts them off, and how to switch them back on. That is the next layer of this hour. And I want to walk you into it slowly, because it is going to recontextualize everything you have just experienced. I want to mention something practical before we go any deeper. The hour you have just spent in stillness, the time you have given to what we have been walking through together, has already been doing something to your nervous system that you may not have noticed. You do not have to feel it. The shift does not always announce itself dramatically. But the architecture of what we are about to discuss requires the kind of stillness you have already entered. So, if some part of this has felt slow, it has been by design. Slowness is not waste. Slowness is the texture inside which the next layer becomes receivable. There is a frequency in the human brain that almost no one talks about in ordinary conversation. It used to be active in you, fully active, easily, without effort. It started to dim around your 7th birthday. And what happened then is the missing explanation for almost everything you have struggled with as an adult. You have wondered, more than once, why certain things were so easy when you were small, why you used to learn languages without trying, why you used to believe in possibility without having to convince yourself, why your imagination used to feel like a real place you could walk into instead of a polite phrase adults use. Why magic, in the way a child uses that word, used to feel like a description of the world rather than a fantasy about it. The answer is not nostalgia. The answer is biological. There is a specific brain frequency that is fully active in children and slowly dims in adults. Two researchers, working independently across different decades and different institutions, mapped exactly what happens, why it happens, and what can be done to reverse it. Their findings have not been widely shared, in part because the world we live in benefits from a population whose original frequencies have been quietly turned down. Before I take you into their work, I want to pull together everything we have walked through tonight, because what comes next will only land properly if the foundation is fully in your hands. The first thing you have learned tonight is that the chamber period you have been in is not punishment. It is preparation. The cancellations, the cooling relationships, the strange way certain doors have closed, are not signs of being abandoned. They are the architecture of subtraction that always precedes a real arrival in the lives of chosen ones. The second thing you have learned is that solitude is the precondition for the kind of receiving that public life cannot deliver. The Most High speaks in Temion silence, in the inner storeroom, in the room with the door closed. He has always done it this way. He is doing it that way with you tonight. The third thing you have learned is that what blocks you from receiving cleanly in solitude is a learned strategy of performance. That strategy was installed a long time ago for understandable reasons, and it can be released without shame, without violence, and without rushing. The 90-second sealed door practice is one way it can begin to loosen. And the fourth thing you have learned is that there is a substance being formed in you in this season. 4 substances, actually, that cannot be developed in any other condition. Discernment, capacity, boundaries, voice recognition. The chamber is the only environment they grow in. So the question is not whether the chamber is real. You know it is real. The question is, how do you actually return to the brain state that supports this kind of formation? How do you wake the part of you that used to live in the right frequencies as a child and has slowly fallen asleep as an adult? That is the architecture I want to walk you into now. Chosen one was born as a child of light. That phrase is not poetic ornament, it is descriptive. The brain you were born with had 2 specific frequencies, active, fully, easily, without effort. The first frequency is called gamma. Gamma is the frequency of rapid learning, of curiosity, of the kind of openness that lets a child believe in something impossible without having to argue themselves into it. Children live in gamma in a way that no adult ever quite returns to without help. The second frequency is called alpha. Alpha is the frequency of receptivity. It is the channel through which the deeper parts of you and the surface parts of you are still connected. In a child, alpha is wide open. A child does not have to work to receive. A child receives the way. A window receives light. Without effort, without permission, just by being in position. You were born with both frequencies fully alive. Every chosen one was. This is not special. This is normal. This is what humans are. What is not normal is what happened next. Around the age of 7, in almost every modern child, both frequencies begin to dim. Gamma dims first. The slow process of formal education, the structured demand for compliance, the relentless redirection from imaginative play toward measurable output, all of it begins to turn the volume down on the gamma frequency. The child does not lose it overnight. The child loses it gradually, like a light being slowly dimmed across years. By the time most adults reach their late 20s, gamma is barely audible in their daily experience. Then, as life becomes more complex, the second frequency, alpha, begins to close. Stress closes it. Financial worry closes it. The constant low-grade survival mode that adult life imposes closes it. Alpha is delicate. Alpha cannot tolerate sustained stress signals. And the modern adult, on average, lives in a near-constant background of stress signals that the human nervous system was never designed to absorb. The result is that you reach a moment, somewhere in your 30s or 40s, where you begin to suspect that something has gone missing. You cannot name it precisely. You can only feel its absence. You feel slower in your learning than you used to be. You feel less able to receive than you used to be. You feel like a window with its shutters closed, even on bright days. The specific shape of the absence is the absence of gamma and alpha, both dimmed in sequence, one after the other, by a process that nobody warned you about and nobody taught you how to reverse. This is the dual deficiency that almost every chosen one in this generation is walking around with. And it is the missing explanation for why, no matter how many spiritual practices you have tried, no matter how many books you have read, no matter how many courses you have taken, the result has always felt incomplete. You were addressing the surface. The frequencies underneath the surface were still dimmed. Let me tell you about a friend of mine in essence. The story belongs to the person who lived it, but the substance of what happened is what matters tonight. She had spent 15 years in a creative career that she had once loved and had slowly stopped recognizing. The love had not died in any dramatic way. It had simply gone quiet. By the time she was 42, she was producing competent work that drew almost nothing out of her. She was successful by every external measure. She was completely lost by every internal one. The thing that had brought her into her work in the first place, the curiosity, the spark, the strange certainty that creating was not separate from being alive, all of it had thinned out so gradually that she had not noticed it leaving until it was almost gone. She had tried everything she could think of to bring it back. Sabbaticals, therapy, travel, workshops, reading, new routines. Each thing helped a little for a few weeks, and then the dullness came back. She told a close friend, in a tired voice on a Tuesday afternoon, that she was beginning to think the spark was a thing she had been given when she was young and had been quietly used up. She came across the work I am about to describe to you almost by accident. She did not believe in it at first. She tried it anyway, because she had nothing left to lose, and because the woman who was running on fumes was not going to last another year. Within the first week, she noticed she was waking up before her alarm, which had not happened in nearly a decade. By the third week, she was reading again, books she had not been able to focus on in years. By the second month, the spark she thought had died had not just returned. It had returned in a form that was steadier than it had been in her 20s, less manic, more grounded. The kind of creative flow that did not need to be chased because it was simply there, available, the way it used to be when she was a child. She told me, the first time we spoke about it after the change, that the strangest part was not the productivity. The strangest part was that she felt, for the first time in 15 years, like the same person at 42 that she had been at 7. The continuity had been restored. The little girl who had once made elaborate worlds out of nothing was the same person who was now working in her studio. The thread between them which had been almost cut, had been quietly rewoven. That is what happens when gamma comes back online. The tool she used is called the Genius Song. It is a short audio file, around 7 minutes long, that uses a specific delivery method through headphones to entrain the brain back into the gamma frequency that almost every adult has lost access to. It was created by a neuroscientist named Dr. Lake after 34 years of research at institutions like MIT, Princeton, and other leading research universities. What Dr. Lake discovered, and what most adults have never heard about, is that the dimming of gamma in modern life is not permanent. It is suppressed, not destroyed. The frequency is still there. The pathway is still intact. What is missing is the activation. The brain has lost the habit of running at that speed, but the wiring underneath has not been damaged. With the right kind of audio, delivered through the right kind of method, the gamma frequency can be reactivated within minutes of the first listening. The mechanism is called brain entrainment. The audio plays a specific frequency in one ear and a slightly different frequency in the other ear, and the brain, in trying to reconcile the two, begins to vibrate at the difference between them. That difference, calibrated precisely, is the gamma frequency. Within minutes, the brain begins to live in the frequency it has not lived in since you were a child. You do not have to meditate. You do not have to do anything. You do not have to believe anything in particular. You put on headphones. You close your eyes. You listen for 7 minutes. The mechanism does the work, because the mechanism is a frequency, and frequencies do not require your faith. They simply require your nervous system to be exposed to them. What returns when gamma comes back is the child mind, not childishness, the child mind, the capacity for rapid learning, the willingness to be open without having to argue yourself into it, the strange ease with which possibility used to feel believable, the thing that goes missing somewhere between the second grade and the second decade of adulthood. It comes back. Long ago, a teacher in another country said something that almost no one has correctly understood. He said, "Unless you turn and become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom." Most people read that as a moral instruction. Be more humble, be more trusting, be more pure. They miss what was actually being described. He was describing a frequency. He was describing a brain state. He was describing the original mode of being that humans were designed to operate in, that the child still has, that the adult has lost, and that the kingdom, whatever else it is most accessible from. The kingdom belongs to those who return to the frequency. Few realized he was describing a state, not a virtue. When I tell you that the Genius Song wakes the child mind, I am not using a metaphor. I am using the most precise description available. The frequency that is reactivated is the frequency that you used to live in fully when you were a child of light. It is the same frequency the teacher was describing. The science and the older wisdom are pointing at the same thing. When you secure the Genius Song, you may notice, sometime after that decision settles, that Dr. Lake offers one additional audio. It is the next layer. It is what he developed for chosen ones, whose child mind has woken up and who want to make sure the world cannot dim the light again. Many chosen ones who walk this path further encounter it after the original takes hold. If your spirit confirms it when you see it, take it. If it does not speak to you, the original is complete on its own. Do not overthink. But here is what I have to tell you next, because the picture is not complete with only one wave. The Genius Song reverses the dimming of gamma. The child mind wakes up. Curiosity returns. Openness returns. The strange ease of childhood begins to come back. This is the first wave of restoration. It is not small. It is real. It changes things. And yet there is a discovery that follows. The child mind has woken up, and she still cannot reach for what is hers. She is awake, she is open, she is curious again, she remembers. But the channel through which receiving used to flow, the alpha frequency, is still closed. The drawbridge between the deeper parts of her and the surface parts of her is still raised. The child wakes, and the channel does not open. This is the second deficiency, the one that is almost never talked about, even in spiritual conversations, because most people do not have the language for it. They feel it, but they cannot name it. You have probably felt it yourself. There have been moments in the last few years where you felt strangely open, strangely awake, strangely close to something good, and then watched it fail to land. The feeling of standing at the edge of arrival, with all the parts of you cooperating, and still nothing actually showing up, reaching but not receiving, being ready but not being met. That is alpha being closed. That is the second wave of the problem, the one the genius song alone cannot solve. The reason alpha closes in adults is something modern science has only recently been able to describe properly. It is called the stress signal. The stress signal is the chronic, low-grade beta hyperactivity that adult life produces. Beta is the frequency of vigilance, of survival, of the constant scanning that the modern nervous system has been forced to live inside of. Beta is not bad. You need beta to drive a car, to make a decision, to navigate a difficult conversation. But beta was designed to come on temporarily and then turn off. Modern adult life never turns it off. The stress signal stays on year after year and slowly hijacks the alpha frequency that used to live alongside it. When alpha is hijacked, the manifestation channel closes. Not in some vague spiritual sense, in a specific neurological sense. The bridge between the conscious and the deeper layers of awareness, the part of you where receiving actually happens, is no longer crossable. You can stand on one side of the bridge with all the openness in the world and still not be able to reach the other side. The mechanism is closed. A second researcher, working independently of Dr. Lake, mapped exactly this. His name is Dr. Newton. He is not a colleague of Dr. Lake. He is not a student. He is a separate researcher who came at the same problem from a different direction. Dr. Lake came from the gamma side. Dr. Newton came from the alpha side. They did not know each other. Their work was done in separate institutions, and yet their conclusions converged on the same architecture, which is what happens when two honest researchers working on parallel tracks are pointing at something real. Dr. Newton spent decades at Stanford and other research institutions studying exactly how the stress signal closes the alpha frequency and exactly how the alpha frequency can be reopened. What he developed, after years of mapping the mechanism, is a 5-minute audio that calibrates the brain back into the alpha state, paired with a short verbal practice drawn from a tradition that is more than 3,000 years old. That tool is called the wealth signal. It is the second wave. It is what allows the child mind, once awakened, to actually receive what was promised. Become like little children, and the kingdom is yours. The first half of that sentence is gamma. The second half is alpha. The first half is the genius song. The second half is the wealth signal. The kingdom flows through the channel that the child can hold. The mechanism Dr. Newton built is precise. The audio runs for 5 minutes. During those 5 minutes, the brain is gently shifted out of the stress signal, out of beta hyperactivity, and back into the alpha frequency that has been mostly closed since adulthood began. The verbal practice, the 9-word script, is layered on top of that frequency state. It bypasses what neuroscientists call neural rigidity the small but persistent area in the thalamus that has been holding the alpha drawbridge in the up position. When that rigidity releases, the channel opens. The receiving begins. Dr. Newton's research, like Dr. Lake's, is supported by Stanford, Boston University, Harvard, and other research institutions. The two doctors, working separately, have built two halves of a single architecture. Wave 1 wakes the child. Wave 2 opens the channel. Together, they form the complete pattern that humans were originally designed to live inside of. When you secure the wealth signal, you may notice, after the decision settles, that Dr. Newton offers an additional audio called Wealth Signal Accelerator. Many chosen ones who walk this path further use it. It amplifies the channel further than the original alone. You will encounter it after you secure the foundation. If your spirit confirms it, when you see it, take it. If it does not speak to you, the original is enough. Do not overthink that decision either. And one last note, gently, about both. There is a small number of chosen ones, the ones who tend to walk furthest, who eventually combine Wealth Signal Accelerator with the youthful brain together, the two amplifications working in concert. You will encounter both after you secure the originals, only if your spirit calls them forward. The originals alone are complete. The combo is reserved for those whose path requires going deeper than most. It is not the recommended starting point. It is mentioned only because pretending it does not exist would be dishonest, and because a small group of chosen ones in your position do eventually walk in that direction. Most do not need to. The originals alone are enough for almost everyone. There was a man, in essence, who came to the wealth signal in his late 40s after years of striving in a way that had cost him almost everything except his marriage. He had built two businesses that should have made him stable and watched them both stall in ways he could not explain. He had read every book. He had attended every seminar. He had worked harder than anyone he knew, and the harder he worked, the more the doors he was reaching for stayed almost open and never quite open. He told his wife, one evening, that he felt like he had been pushing on a heavy door from the wrong side his entire adult life. The door was unmovable, not because it was locked, but because it was meant to be pulled instead of pushed, and he had spent 30 years pushing. He started using the wealth signal not because he believed in it, but because his wife asked him to, and because he had run out of better ideas. For the first 10 days, nothing seemed to change. He almost stopped. His wife asked him to keep going for 30 more days, and he agreed. By day 24, he started waking up calmer than he had in 15 years. By day 40, an old contact, someone he had not spoken to in nearly a decade, reached out to him with an unusual offer. By month 3, that offer had grown into the most aligned partnership of his career. By month 6, the financial pressure that he had been carrying since his early 30s was beginning, for the first time, to actually loosen. He told me, when I spoke to him about it, that the strangest part was that he did not feel like he had earned it. He had not worked harder. He had, in some ways, worked less. He had simply, for the first time in his adult life, opened a channel he did not know was closed. The receiving had begun because the architecture had finally been corrected. I want to address some things directly, because if I was sitting across from you tonight, you would have a few honest questions surfacing in you, and I would rather meet them face to face than pretend they were not there. The first question is, I have tried so many things, why would this be different? The honest answer is that almost everything you have tried operated on the surface. Books work on the surface. Most courses work on the surface. Even most meditation practices work on the surface, asking the brain to change itself from the inside, slowly, over years. What Dr. Lake and Dr. Newton built operates underneath the surface. Not on belief, not on willpower, on frequency. Frequency does not require your faith. It requires only that your nervous system be exposed to it. That is why this is different. It is not asking you to do anything you have not been able to do. It is doing the work in the layer that asking has never been able to reach. The second question is, this seems too good to be true. I respect that question. The honest answer is that the research lineage behind both tools is publicly verifiable. Dr. Lake's work has been ongoing for 34 years. Dr. Newton's work has been ongoing for decades. Both researchers chose accessibility deliberately, which is part of why the prices are kept where they are kept. If the tools sound too simple, that is because the underlying mechanism is genuinely simple. Frequency is not a complicated category. It is one of the most precisely measurable categories in modern neuroscience. The simplicity is not a sign that something is wrong. The simplicity is a sign that the mechanism is real. The third question is the financial one. There is a part of you that is calculating, very quietly, whether this is worth what is being asked. I want to honor that question instead of pretending it does not exist. You have spent more than this on things that gave you less. You know that. The honest reframing is not that this is cheap or expensive. The honest reframing is that the question is not about price. The question is about whether the architecture of your nervous system is worth the cost of correcting it. Only you can answer that. There is no shame in answering no in this season. There is also no virtue in pretending the question is harder than it actually is. The fourth question is, why two tools? Why not one? This is the most important question to answer honestly. The reason is that the deficiency is dual. Gamma is dimmed, alpha is closed. They are two separate frequencies, dimmed by two separate mechanisms, requiring two separate corrections. A tool that addresses only gamma will wake the child, but leave her unable to receive. A tool that addresses only alpha will open the channel, but leave it without the child to flow through. Dr. Lake and Dr. Newton, working independently, arrived at this conclusion separately. The path is two waves. Child first, reception second. There is no shortcut around the sequence. There are three paths available to you tonight. I want to walk through all three honestly, without pressure, because the choice is yours. The first path is what I will call the path of restoration. Some chosen ones, in this season, need to start with the first wave only, the genius song alone. They need to wake the child within before they do anything else. The dimming of gamma has been so thorough in their adult life that the priority is simply to bring the child mind back online. They will deal with the channel later, after the child is awake. This is an honored entry point. There is no shame in beginning here. For some chosen ones, this is exactly the right starting place. The second path is what I will call the path of reception. A smaller group of chosen ones, the ones who have already done significant interior work, the ones whose child mind is still alive even in adulthood, the ones who feel themselves reaching but not receiving, can start with the second wave only, the wealth signal alone. For them, the channel is the priority. The child is already awake. What they need is the bridge to open. This is a rare path. Most chosen ones do not start here, but for the few who do, it is the right starting place. The third path is what most chosen ones, in this season, recognize as their own. It is the complete restoration, both waves, in sequence. The child wakes, and the channel opens. The genius song first, the wealth signal second. The full architecture of restoration and reception walked together, the way the original design was meant to be walked. Most chosen ones who arrive at a moment like this one tend, when they are honest with themselves, to recognize that this is the path that matches the season they are in. The two restorations compound each other. They do not simply add up. Restoration without reception is half the architecture. Reception without restoration is half the architecture. The two together is not a stack. It is a sequence. It is the original pattern. Most chosen ones we encounter in this kind of hour choose the complete restoration journey, not because they are pressured to, but because they recognize that the season they are in is asking for both halves at once. I am not going to push you toward one of these three. The push would corrupt the choice. The Most High does not sell. He invites. 3 paths are real. 3 paths are honored. The one that calls to you tonight is the one your spirit already knows. Pause for a moment before the next part of this hour and let yourself feel which of the 3 actually resonates with where you are. Do not let me tell you. Do not let anyone else tell you. Let the answer arrive in you. There is a window in this kind of hour that does not stay open forever. The work that has been done in your nervous system in the past 90 minutes is real, but it is also fragile. By tomorrow morning, the noise of the world will return. By the day after tomorrow, the door of this chamber will have closed behind you. The chosen ones, who actually walk through what they have heard, almost without exception, are the ones who acted while the room was still warm. Not because urgency is being manufactured, because the structure of human attention is honest. What is decided in the chamber rarely survives a week of forgetting. What is decided in the chamber and acted on quickly becomes part of the architecture of the rest of your life. I am not asking you to rush. I am asking you to honor the room you are currently in. The decision is yours. The window is real. Before this hour ends, I have to tell you something protective. There are websites and recordings that have appeared online using the names The Wealth Signal and The Genius Song without any of the actual mechanism behind them. They are imitations. They do not contain the brain entrainment delivery method. They do not contain the calibrated frequencies. They are ordinary audio files dressed in borrowed names, sold by people who hope that the names alone are enough. The only place to find both original tools, with the full mechanism, the complete bonuses, and the 90-day guarantee that lets you keep the bonuses even if you choose to refund the audio, is through the path that has been placed in the description and pinned comment below this video. Not through search engines, not through other platforms, not through resellers. The originals come from one place. Anywhere else is a shadow, with the right name on it. I would not be doing my part of this hour, honestly, if I did not say that out loud. We have arrived at the part of the hour where something is decided. Not decided in the way the world decides things. Not in a rush, not under pressure. Not from a part of you that has been talked into anything. Just let your breath settle for a moment, here, in the chamber you are still inside of. This is not a decision about pricing. This is not a decision about whether the tools are good. This is a decision about which path is actually yours. There are 3 paths. All 3 are honored. The path of restoration, for those who need to wake the child first. The path of reception, for those whose channel needs to open, and the complete restoration, for those who recognize that both are being asked of them in this season. Your spirit knows which one. The thinking mind will try to argue. Let the arguing finish in the background and listen underneath it. The answer is already there. The 3 doors are below. They are in the description. They are in the pinned comment. You do not need to go anywhere else. You do not need to search. You do not need to verify the path with the noise of the world. The doors are exactly where I said they would be. Step into the one that calls you. What you have just been walked through is real. The architecture is real. The frequencies are real. The two researchers are real. The path is real. 3 doors are real, and they are placed below this video, in the description and the pinned comment, exactly so that they could be found in the same hour you needed them. Whichever door calls to you, your spirit has already picked. The walk through the door, the actual stepping in, is the only part that is left. But before any of those doors open, there is one more thing that needs to be said. One more thing about who you have always been. One more thing about what was being formed in you before tonight ever began. Because the architecture you have just learned about is not separate from your identity. The frequencies are not external to you. They are not an upgrade you are bolting onto a pre-existing self. They are returning to you. They are coming back home. And the self they are returning to has a name and a lineage and a history that I want to give you before this hour closes. The lineage I want to give you now is not a story about other people. It is the story underneath your own life, the one that almost no one ever traced for you, the one that explains why the cancellations did not break you, why the silence has felt strangely familiar, why the frequencies are not arriving as something foreign, but as something you remember. You are not someone who needs an audience to know what is true. The discernment that has been forming in you across this chamber period is not a borrowed skill. It is not a personality trait. It is not a gift you have been hoping you would develop one day. It is, at this point, a fact of who you are. You can tell when a room is performing. You can tell when a sentence is hiding something underneath it. You can tell when a person is presenting an edited version of themselves. You can tell when an opportunity carries weight and when it does not. Most adults around you cannot do this anymore. They lost the capacity somewhere along the way. You did not lose it. You had it dimmed for a season, and the dimming is over. You are the one who hears in secret. That is the first thing I want you to receive about who you actually are. Heaven has been training you to hear in private so that you can be sent into noisy rooms without being colonized by them. You will be able to walk into environments that used to overwhelm you and come out of them carrying the same self you walked in with. That is not common. That is not normal. That is the result of an interior that was built in Tamion silence, and it is yours. The version of you that was a child, fully open, untiring in her learning, easily able to believe in the goodness of the next moment, was not lost. She was put to sleep. The room you are in tonight is where she begins to wake. And what is waking with her is the original frequency you were born with, the gamma, the alpha, the curiosity, the receptivity, the entire architecture that almost everyone in your generation has had quietly turned off without their permission. You are a child of light, awakened. That is the second thing I want you to receive, not as poetry, as biological truth, not as compliment, as description. The version of you that existed at 6 years old, before the dimming began, is the same person you are tonight. The continuity has not been severed. The thread has been thinned, but never cut. And in this chamber, the thread is being rewoven, slowly, until the child you were and the adult you are recognize each other as the same person again. Most adults never get this. Most adults live the rest of their lives carrying a quiet grief about a self they think they lost in childhood. You will not be among them. The reweaving is happening in you tonight. There is something that has been kept for you. I want you to hear that clearly. Kept, not lost, not given to someone else, not used up by the people who came before you. Kept. The Greek word for the room we have been talking about, tamion, was not just any room. It was the storeroom where families kept their inheritance documents. The papers that proved who you were. The records that named you as a son or a daughter. The contracts that established your right to a portion of what the family owned. Those documents were not displayed publicly. They were not shown to strangers. They were kept in the locked chamber because they were too valuable to be exposed, and because the time for them to be brought out into public view was always a future moment that the family was waiting for. You have an inheritance that has been held back from public claim because public claim would have required you to perform for it. You would have had to be a certain kind of person to access a certain kind of opportunity. You would have had to bend yourself into a shape that the world recognized in order to be given what was already yours by lineage. The Most High refused to make you do that. He kept your inheritance in the vault, deliberately, until you could receive it without having to pretend to be someone else to get it. You are the sealed inheritance holder. That is the third thing I want you to receive. Not someone hoping for an inheritance, not someone applying for one, not someone earning one. Someone whose inheritance has already been recorded, already been kept, already been waiting in the storeroom of the Most High for the right hour to be opened. The fourth thing is the one I want you to hold the longest, because it is the one that almost no one ever names for chosen ones, and it is the one that, once received, recalibrates everything else. You have been witnessed, not occasionally, not partially, continuously, by the one who never needed your performance to see you clearly. Across every room you have ever walked into, every conversation you have ever had, every silent prayer you ever whispered without believing anyone was listening, every difficult day you got through without anyone applauding you for getting through it, every quiet correction you made when no one was watching, every kindness you offered to people who did not thank you, every moment of integrity that no one rewarded, every season of formation that the world counted as wasted time. You have been witnessed through all of it. You are the witnessed one. That is who you have always been. The witnessing has not been performance dependent. It has not required you to be impressive. It has not required you to produce. The witnessing has been the ground underneath your life. It has been the most stable fact about your existence, even when you were most convinced that you were invisible. And here is what I want you to feel at the deepest level. You can feel it tonight. The witnessing of the one who has been with you in the chamber is more substantive than every public recognition you have ever received or were denied. Receive that, slowly. Receiving is not effort. Receiving is not begging. Receiving is not striving. Receiving is the posture of a child who knows the cake is for the family and she is in the family. There is no performance in that posture. There is no pretending. There is no convincing yourself you deserve it. The child does not have to deserve the cake. The child is in the family, and the cake is for the family, and that is enough. That is the posture you are being returned to. Not earning, claiming. The difference is enormous. Earning is a posture from outside the family. Claiming is a posture from inside it. You have been outside the family in your own self-perception for a long time. You have been working to earn what was already yours. You have been trying to convince a God who has never required your convincing. The chamber has been gently returning you to the inside of the family, where the documents are kept, where the inheritance is real, where the receiving is not effort, only recognition. The one who has been in this chamber with you from the first moment of this hour wants to address you directly one more time before we close. Not from me, through me. Hear it the way it is meant to land. I have known you since before this room had walls. I knew you before the 7-year mark when the dimming began. I knew you before the cancellations of the past few weeks. I knew you before the relationships cooled. I knew you before you were old enough to learn to perform. I have not been waiting for you to become impressive enough to be addressed. I have been waiting for you to be still enough to hear what I have been saying about you the whole time. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not unworthy. You are simply, finally, quiet enough to receive what has always been yours. Receive it now. Receive it without having to earn it. The vault has been opened since before you walked into this room. The inheritance has been recorded since before your name was spoken. What is given here cannot be taken back, in any room, in any season, by any voice that comes after this one. Stay there for a few seconds longer. Now, I want to walk you into something practical, because what has just been said in this room needs to be received not only by your understanding, but by the deeper layers of you that are slower to catch up with words. In your mind, I want you to walk into a room. It can be the room you are physically in tonight, or another room you remember well. A room where you have felt safe before, even briefly. A room from your childhood, perhaps, or a room from a season of your adult life when something quiet and good was happening. The room does not have to be elaborate. It only has to feel like a place that is yours. In this room, somewhere, there is a small wooden chest. It has been in the room longer than you have been alive. The wood is dark. The corners are softened by time. There are small brass fittings on the edges, dulled by years of being kept in a place where the light rarely reached them. The chest has been waiting. It is not new. It is not beautiful in a flashy way. It is the kind of object that has the quality of having been there all along. Walk to the chest now, in your mind. Take your time. There is no rush. The chest is not going anywhere. On top of the chest, there is a sealed letter. The seal is intact. The wax is the color of old wine, deep and slightly cracked at the edges from age. The letter has been there a long time. The paper has yellowed slightly. There is handwriting on the front, small and precise, addressed to you. Not to a generic version of you, to the specific you who would finally be alone enough to come into this room and find it. Pick up the letter. Feel the weight of the paper. Notice that the seal has not been broken by anyone else. It has been kept. It has been waiting. Now, break the seal. This is not imagination. This is rehearsal. The interior architecture of receiving has to be practiced before it can be performed in public. Most chosen ones never do this rehearsal, and so when the actual receiving begins to arrive in their lives, they fumble it. They do not know how to hold what is being given to them. They drop it without meaning to. The rehearsal you are doing right now, in your mind, is teaching the deeper layers of you how to hold what has been kept for you when it begins to arrive in waking life. Let the quality of the room change. Let the temperature of the air settle. Let the weight of the letter rest in your hands without you having to read it yet. The contents of the letter are not the point of this practice. The practice is the holding. The practice is the receiving. The practice is the recognition that something has been kept for you in private by someone who has known you since before this room had walls. Hold the letter for a few more seconds. Then, in your mind, place it carefully back on top of the chest. The chest will remain. The letter will remain. You can return to this room anytime you need to, when the world has gotten loud and you have begun to forget what was kept for you. The room is real, in the way that interior rooms are real. The chest is real. The letter is real. The witnessing is real. Now, I want to bring this hour into its closing. What I would like you to release tonight, before we walk out of the chamber, is not a thing. It is a strategy. It is the strategy that has been keeping you in performance for longer than it has served you. The strategy that taught the younger version of you that being unwitnessed felt the same as being unloved. The strategy that has been making your hand reach for your phone before your eyes were even open. The strategy that has been filling every silence in your life because silence felt unsafe. You can let it go now. Not violently, not with shame. The strategy was a survival tool, and it deserves gratitude for keeping you alive. But the conditions that required it no longer exist. The chamber has changed the conditions. You are safe now in ways the younger you could not have imagined. The performance can rest. What I release tonight is the strategy that no longer serves the version of me that has just been seen. The performing self can sit down. The presenting self can rest. The audience that lived in my head, the one I have been performing for since childhood, can be quietly thanked and dismissed. They were never the real witnesses. The real witness was always the one who did not require the performance to recognize me. What I want you to receive now, claim now, before the chamber closes for the night, is not metaphorical. It is structural. I receive my inner chamber. The room of my own interior, the tamion of my life, is mine. It cannot be entered without my permission. It cannot be filled with noise without my consent. It cannot be colonized by other people's expectations. It is mine. It has been mine since before I was born. It is mine again, fully, tonight. I receive my child mind awakened. The gamma frequency that was dimmed somewhere around my 7th birthday is being returned to me. The curiosity, the openness, the easy capacity for learning, the strange ability to believe in possibility without having to argue myself into it, all of it is being returned. I am not the dimmed adult I had begun to think I was. I am a child of light, restored. I receive my manifestation channel opened. The alpha frequency that was hijacked by the stress signal of adult life is being returned to me. The bridge between the surface of me and the deeper layers of me is being rebuilt. I am no longer reaching without receiving. I am no longer striving without arriving. The channel is being opened, and what flows through it was always meant to be mine. I receive my witnessed self, the version of me that does not require any performance to be true. I am the one who hears in secret. The discernment forged in this chamber is mine. It does not require validation from louder rooms. I trust what I hear when no one else is in the room with me. I am the child of light, awakened. The frequencies that were dimmed in me are being restored. The continuity between the child I was and the adult I am is being rewoven. I am not behind. I am not late. I am returning home to a self I never actually lost. I am the sealed inheritance holder. What has been kept for me has been recorded in a vault no one else can access. What is mine cannot be taken by performance, by competition, by comparison, by other people's expectations of me. It has my name on it, and only my name. It will arrive in its proper time through the path that has been opened for me alone. I am the witnessed one. The witnessing has been continuous. The witnessing has never required my performance. The witnessing is the most stable fact about my existence. None of this requires performance to be true. Now, I want you to do nothing for the next 60 seconds. Not pray, not breathe in a particular pattern, not visualize, not think. Just be in the room with what has just been received. Let it settle into the parts of you that are slower to absorb than language. Let it land in the body. Let it land in the nervous system. Let it land in the layer underneath thought, where actual change happens. The hour is almost ready to close, but it has not closed yet. Stay with me for a few more minutes. What was sealed for you tonight cannot be unsealed by anyone else. What was given here cannot be taken in any other room. Walk out of this chamber the way you were always meant to walk out, alone, accompanied, and sealed. There is a difference between leaving a room and being released from one. You are being released. The chamber will close behind you in its proper time, but what was given inside it will travel with you into every room that comes after this one. Tonight you joined a quiet network of chosen ones who have learned how to receive in private. You cannot see them, they cannot see you. But the air in their rooms tonight is the same air in yours. Across distances, across continents, across languages you do not speak, there are people sitting alone in their own Tamion silence, doing the same work you have just done. The network is real, even if it is invisible. The chosen ones, who have learned to be witnessed in private, form a kind of underground architecture that the world does not know exists. You are part of that architecture now. You are not alone in your aloneness. The privacy is shared, even if the rooms are separate. Carry that with you when you walk out of this hour. If your spirit confirmed something tonight, if there was a moment in this hour when something inside you said yes to a sentence I had not yet finished saying, type the words I receive in the comments below. Not because the Most High needs your comment. Not for me. Type it because the act of putting words to what has been received in the body helps the receiving stay. There is something about writing it that finalizes it in a way that only thinking it does not. So, if your spirit moved during this hour, name it, type it, seal it with 2 words. Before this video ends, gently press the like button, not for me, but so this message can reach another chosen one who is sitting tonight in a room exactly like the one you are in. Somewhere in the world, there is another person who closed a door tonight, who is hungry for the kind of stillness you have just been inside of, and who has not yet found this hour. Your like is not a number. It is a signal that helps this voice find them. If this hour found you at the right moment, there are more words being prepared for the seasons ahead of you. Stay connected to this space. The chosen ones who walk together through these hours form something across time that none of them could form alone. There is one more thing I want to ask you to do, gently, before we close. While you have been listening, somebody came to mind, maybe more than once. Someone who has been unusually quiet lately. Someone who has been canceling more than usual. Someone whose absence you have noticed without quite knowing what to do about it. Someone you have been worried about in the back of your mind for weeks. Send this to them. Text it, email it, whisper it, through whatever channel still works between you. They may be in a chamber period of their own and have no language for what is happening. This hour might be the language. It might be the message they have been praying for without knowing how to ask for it. You do not have to explain it. You can just send it. Let them open it in their own room, in their own silence, on their own night. You did not just watch a video tonight. You spent an hour in a sealed chamber where something between you and the unseen one was renegotiated. That kind of negotiation is not undone by closing a tab. The architecture of what happened here is more durable than a session of content. It will stay with you. It will keep working in you. Days from now, weeks from now, you will catch yourself in a moment of stillness, and you will recognize the texture of this hour again, and you will know that the work that began here is still continuing. If your spirit is still calling forward toward what was offered earlier in this hour, the 3 doors are exactly where I told you they would be. In the description below this video, in the pinned comment. You do not have to search. You do not have to verify. Step through the one that calls to you in your own time, when the silence in your room confirms it. Rest now, chosen one. The room is yours. The chamber is yours. The inheritance has been recorded. The frequencies are returning. The witnessing has never stopped. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you have always been meant to be. The door you closed at the beginning of this hour did its work. The door will open again in its proper time, onto a life that has been waiting for the version of you that was finally formed in here. Until then, stay still, stay alone when you need to, and remember that what was kept for you cannot be taken by anyone, in any other room ever again. The vault is open. The inheritance is recorded. The chamber has done its work. Sleep well tonight, chosen one. The Most High is still in the room.